Hey, what's up, guys? It is Dan from FightWave, and today I'm joined by somebody who I've been dying to speak with, who needs no further introduction, but we're gonna give him the introduction, because that's what he deserves. We're joined by arguably the greatest bantamweight of all time, in my opinion, the greatest bantamweight of all time, 3 title defenses in the UFC, Haters Tears So Sour, Funkmaster Devourer, Anaconda Human Backpack. If he takes you down, it's a rap. Funkmaster Aljamain Sterling, how we doing today, brother?
That was a great introduction. I'm doing great, man. Beautiful Thursday out here in Vegas, and fresh off vacation right now.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, Aljo, thank you so much for your time. Big shout out to Oren for coordinating this. It's an honor to sit here and speak with you. You know, this has been, for me, probably the most excited I've been for an interview just because of the build-up and, you know, the history behind it. You know, from the time when you fought Petr Yan, I was a fan after the Sandhagen fight where I got proven wrong. And from there, you know, I've just been a fan ever since. So for me, it's an honor to speak with you. And first and foremost, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's can't complain. Another day above ground, right? So out here chasing the dream and enjoying the fruits of my labor a little bit. And I guess now we gotta kind of get back to work.
Absolutely. And, you know, first and foremost, you know, right now you're just coming back from a vacation in Miami, or are you still in Miami? But I mean,
I'm back in Vegas.
Back in Vegas. But I mean, you were in Miami just recently. Obviously, how was the vacation there? And, you know, we've seen you obviously enjoying, like you said, enjoying the fruits of your labor, having a good time after your fights. Talk to me just about the life right now, just being able to kick back after your fights, really relax and decompress.
I mean, it's a little short-lived if I'm being honest, but because there's only so much of taking your foot off the gas that you can possibly do. I mean, obviously right after the fight I was a little banged up, so I couldn't really do too much. But I was lifting and doing things like that and hitting pads in a stationary position. I'm not really able to kind of be as mobile as I normally would be to keep the cardio on par. But with that being said, I mean, everything else has been good, so I'm just trying to enjoy it as much as I can and, you know, just kind of monitoring it, not trying to do too much where that could be diminishing returns.
Absolutely. You know, like you said, monitoring what you can and can't do, and just, like you said, enjoying the fruits of your labor. I feel like, you know, oftentimes we talk about fighters taking time off, but for you, I feel like every time you've taken time off after a fight, it's been such well-deserved time, because I feel like despite the criticism you get, you've quickly turned the fan base around and really received the respect of everyone through your performances. I feel like you've put together some great performances despite what the media might want to say. I feel like you've done a great job in terms of changing the narrative with your amazing performances. I wanted to ask you, obviously, first and foremost, what has it meant for you just to be able to shut the doubters down, change the narrative, and really have people start putting some respect on your name? Because your resume says it all, Aljamain. You know, you've beaten 3 of the biggest names in the bantamweight division, and you've done it so in, you know, fashion that others haven't been able to do so prior.
I mean, it's good. It's good. I mean, life's good, man. I think, I guess in short words, the short version of it is, I am who I say I am, you know? And I think a lot of people, they look at one fight and they try to use that to embody your entire career, even after you give them the reasoning. They asked me for the reasoning. I know no one cares at the end of the day, because if they did care and I gave them the reason, they would have actually been like, okay, that makes sense. But they obviously don't care. So give them the reasoning why that first fight with Yan was like that. And since then, and even before then, I've never had a performance like that, you know? So I think it goes to show how quickly people can be ignorant to the truth, and no matter if the truth is right there in front of them, if they choose to ignore it, they're going to ignore it. So it is what it is. I know I'm comfortable in my own skin. I've achieved everything I've achieved through hard work, never been given any handouts, no easy path to the title. What I fight, I think 3 or 4 former champions now, Renan Barao, Petr Yan,
TJ,
Henry Cejudo, and TJ Dillashaw. 4 former champions, you know? And who else is doing something like that and taking them out? And I mean, the Henry fight was close, but for the most part, I think most of these performances have been, I don't want to say one-sided, but you could kind of tell who was the one who was a notch above in those matchups. And you know, I'm going to keep continuing to do what I do best, and that's continue to show that the Funk Master is here to stay.
No, yeah, definitely. And like you said, in these matchups, you've always like it's obviously been quote unquote close for some people, but I feel like you said, you could really see who's dictating the pace, who's really in control for a majority of the fight, and obviously the decisions going your way, I felt like were the correct decisions, and I feel as though just in terms of everything that's kind of transpired, you've been probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest examples of perseverance, in my opinion, and I feel like that's representative of you throughout your entire life and career. For me, I know there was a video that came out by the UFC, and for me, in particular, this video really stood out to me. It was the title Aljamain Sterling Not Broken, the video that came out from the UFC. And I thought that video really changed my perspective of you. If already I wasn't a fan, I was an even bigger fan after it. But I feel like throughout your entire career, you've been, on this path of resilience, and really you've just shown that despite anything that life throws at you, you're really able to bounce back in absolute beauty and in absolute stride, and prove the naysayers wrong, more or less, and really just push yourself to another level. Whether it's the people around you, you're propelling them up through what you're doing, or your fans or your family or even yourself. You've just really been able to catapult yourself through even the biggest of adversities. So I want to ask you, looking back on the journey, seeing everything that you've been through, what does it mean to you to get to this point and really be able to be a beacon of hope and a symbol of perseverance and really proving people wrong?
I mean, what it means to me is, it's hard to say what it means to me. I guess if I had to define that, it's more you kind of control your own destiny. And it's easy to kind of take the easy way out and go, this person or these people who say this about me and this is what I am, so therefore I am. Where it's more like, I don't give a shit what you say. I control the hand that I'm dealt. Yeah, I might have been dealt this hand and there's nothing I could do about that, but what can I do with what I have in front of me? And how can I use that to my advantage? Or how can I use this to try to get to where I want to get to? It ain't going to be easy. I never said it was going to be easy. And it ain't always going to be fair. And I think that's the best thing that I've learned throughout my career is there is no handouts. Some people may get them. That doesn't mean you're going to get them. That doesn't mean you're entitled to anything. And sometimes life can be a little unfair, but at the end of the day, with this country that I like the most is you still have an opportunity to make the most of it, even though it might not be the most favorable situation. And I've had a lot of situations like that throughout my career, throughout my life, and could easily play victim, And thankfully, I'm not built like that. I think I was able to. It didn't come overnight, It took a little bit of time to kind of cultivate that stronger, bulletproof mindset and not letting other people get underneath your skin. Where there was a time where I would be angry and resentful about everything, and why is this happening to me and not this person? And then you realize everyone is different. Everyone has a different thing. And I think you start to realize, like, hey, man, this is life. This is what life is. And it's not going to always be the sunshine and rainbows and easy givens for everybody. There's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some trials and tribulations. And it's up to you how you navigate that water. And again, I can't control what other people do. But the beauty about life is you can control what you do in your responses, and you can control what you do in terms of your performance and your work ethic. And for me, that's thankfully it worked out. Not all the time it will, but if you truly do have faith, I think it will eventually work out for you.
No, yeah, absolutely, and beautifully put, Aljo. I think that more importantly, like you mentioned, it's always not the hand that you're dealt, but how you really act and respond to these adversities, and what you've kind of showcased in just the way that you conduct your business. Even despite all this controversy, being an active champion, being, we've seen through your YouTube channel, first and foremost, with what you and Jake Fine have built on YouTube with, the weekly scraps, with the Funk Master YouTube channel, we get to really see a glimpse into more of who you are as a person and your day-to-day functions as a human being, more importantly, because I always like to say, first and foremost, fighters are human beings and fighters second, and I always like to live by that kind of mindset of when I speak to the fighter. So, seeing the content first and foremost and really getting a glimpse into who you are as a person, I really feel like that helps the fans understand more of why you do what you do and why you stay as active as you are. Because I like to give credit where credit is due. Aldrich, you're probably up there with Adesanya and Volkanovski. You're probably one of the most active champions the UFC has seen in that bantamweight division in recent memory. Like the facts speak for itself, and I think that it all comes down to your character. Like you said, dealt whatever hand you're dealt, it's about how you respond. And like you said, you're just not built like that. You're able to come back and really do what is necessary to improve yourself and improve the circumstances around you. So that really stood out to me. I mean, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, when people are saying I'm not active and stuff, it just that alone, when people say stuff like that, it just lets you know that their perception is their reality, and that's why it's like it's not even it's useless in trying to argue and combat all the stuff. And I used to go back and forth. I do a lot less of it more now than I used to because it's just even though it never bothered me, it's more like just I like to troll back. But now it's like, man, I just really don't even have the time to do it as much as I did before. So now it's like whatever. If I have the opportunity to go say something, I will. But the most thing that I would say would just be these are the dumb takes that people take and they parrot and they run with. And saying that I'm not active makes no sense. And I just think it's people's bias against me. But at the end of the day, again, the records and the numbers, they speak for itself. I'm active. I'm out there. I'm competing. Yeah, you can say whatever I want. I've had multiple surgeries. You try competing with a neck surgery and seeing how fast you can recover and get back in the octagon against another professionally trained savage. You know what I mean? So everyone's going to have an opinion. Doesn't mean it's correct. I'm going to just keep doing what I'm keep doing and keep winning, stacking these W's and keeping these haters salty and taking all their tears.
Like I said, haters tears so sour that the Funk Master devours. And obviously, like you said, you're just right now like so busy with everything going on. Like you mentioned, I know you mentioned it a little bit and prefaced it a little, but you're actually, I know if I remember correctly, exploring a rum line. You're trying to get that Funk Master rum underway, which I'm looking forward to. I turned 21 in September, so believe me, that's first on the line in terms of stuff that I would love to try if it comes out by then. But, more importantly, I feel like you've just been really busy and in your own element, really building on the Funk Master brand and building the personal brand and personal identity for yourself outside of fighting, with the YouTube channel, with the content creation, with the business endeavors and partnerships. You've really shown what a fighter can do outside of fighting. You don't have to just stick to fighting despite being such an active champion, which I mean, kudos to you. Not only fighting on the highest levels so frequently, but also being able to do all of this on the side. It's not only motivating looking at it from the outside, but I mean, just looking at it from the inside, from a media perspective, it's unheard of, a fighter doing this much and at such a successful rate. So talk to me just about obviously what prompted you getting behind the YouTube channel and, the success that you've seen on it as of late and what it means to you to be able to branch outside of fighting and do something else.
I guess the reason why I started was to help my coaching because I started the MMA wrestling class back at Law MMA in New York. Like I'm obviously bouncing around a lot more now these days, so I'm not teaching it as much as I used to. Well, nowhere near as much as I used to. Man, I was teaching twice a day, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, but mainly the Monday classes. But it was helping me get insight from a coach's perspective because now I'm putting on the analyst hat while I'm watching the fights. I'm not just watching for entertainment. I'm watching it for skill building and using things I could take back and bring it back to the gym and work on for myself or for the team. So that would help me just come up with drills and things like that. So that was the main reason. And then actually, I enjoy talking about the fight. So it wasn't really to make money or anything like that. But now it's actually starting to make a little bit of income, which is cool. That's always a added bonus and benefit. But with that being said, I think it was more so me getting to share with the world an inside look from a professional standpoint and someone who's doing it at the highest level versus maybe someone who hasn't been as successful and they're trying to give game where I think the fans, it holds a little bit more water. There's a little bit more merit where someone's actively breaking down each one of the fights and the skill sets and things like that, or doing a recap of the fights. And I think that all plays a good factor into showing what I can do and bring to the table in terms of being an analyst and coaching and just understanding the game overall. So I think it's helped me in multiple areas of my life. Coaching, it's helped me with game planning. It's helped me with being a better analyst of my own game, a better critic, and even of my opponents and getting ready to challenge those guys.
No, yeah, absolutely. And, first and foremost, I think, like you said, just starting it out of passion and something out of improving yourself and really being able to just look into it from a different perspective. Because obviously, there's a training component of mixed martial arts, but the analyst side of mixed martial arts often kind of goes overlooked. Really being able to study and give back through looking and having a live representation that you can really reference. I feel like we see that in the NBA a lot, in soccer a lot, where they really draw up the plays and set it up, or the NFL, they draw the plays out and they show it on the screen. But with MMA, we really see a limited version of that with the UFC. Like there's the examples where DC or Saud, the guest representatives, they'll come and they'll draw up, a sequence, a fighting sequence, and they'll show it. But you having that reference and having that channel, I feel like it gives a lot of people a baseline to really look and study the game at a different level, which it often goes overlooked because obviously there's like the training, which is great, but that analyst side really I feel like adds another component or layer of complexity to what you do. And more importantly, just with what you've been able to build, traveling the world and documenting it and showing, the side of Funkmaster. We see Funkmaster in the octagon, but what about, like Aljamain the human being? We get to see a little bit more of that, your travels when you're in fight camp and just being around people. There was obviously the vlog in Abu Dhabi with Andrew Tate. You guys were all there on the boat with him, and that was pretty awesome to see. Just being able to travel the world. What has it meant for you to be able to document your life and show more to yourself than just a fighter that people may think?
I guess the vlogs are more so for me to have something that I can always look back on. I was doing this since I was an amateur, my amateur debut. I would have this old school crappy camera, the camcorder that I was taking videos while I was driving to some of these venues by myself with no team, no coaches. Hopefully meeting the team there later, or just going by myself and end up just having random people jump in my corner. So I've been through the trenches a bit in the space of MMA when it was in its infancy. Not like some of the super old school guys, but I've gotten a little fair share of a glimpse of that. But just having a vlog so I can have these things and these memories to look back at and be like, man, we got to do this, we got to do these. These are the cool things we got to see, people we got to meet along the way. And I think that's going to be something that I could kind of just hold on to for years to come. When it's all said and done, I could always look back and reflect on those things and be like, man, I remember this fight camp. This was that. I had to deal with this. I hurt my back in this one, or I did this. So there's a lot of that goes on behind the scenes that people don't get to see. So being able to travel the world, hang out a little bit, unwind, unbutton the shirt a bit, and just chill, be like an everyday person. I think for me, that's a very important aspect of the game and a good mental reset. It reminds you of why you're doing this entire thing. Like obviously, this is prize fighting. We're fighting for money, but I'm also now, as I've gotten older, I'm fighting for experiences. The more I win, the more experiences I get to have, the more I get to share with my fans and family, my friends and family. So hopefully there's a lot more of that to come, and we'll just keep the good times rolling in.
No, yeah, absolutely. And for me, the vlogs that stand out are obviously even just the Law MMA vlogs. You guys are all sitting down training, and I feel like just in terms of family environment and team, like that feels more like a family. Law MMA is the absolute golden star representation of that. You look at how tight knit the gym is and the level of success. It really embodies the saying of you can build champions. I feel like Law MMA is that definition of that, building champions. Not just bringing people in and who are already champions, but it speaks to the quality of people there. Like you said, really documenting these experiences and just having a good time in the gym and having the memories kind of build themselves. Whether it's somebody like Dennis Bazookia fighting, or Justin Montalvo, or the guys coming up, or Matt Favola, yourself, Marab. The list goes on and on. Just quality guys, and you guys are just building experiences with each other, having those things to look back on. And like I said, like it just speaks volumes to what you guys are building there at Law MMA. So throughout your career, what has Law MMA meant to you, and what does it continue to mean to you as time goes on, having Coach Ray Longo in your corner and all the other people?
I think the main thing it means to me is that it's a small, Long Island's small, but at the same time it's big, but it's a lot of tough blue collar people, and I think we're all super related in that facet of things. Most of us, at least from what I know, don't come from much, and we're all fighting for this opportunity to do something big. And I think that's what we all share in common is we all kind of got that grit and that Long Island mindset, and it's a grind, man. It's a grind being from Long Island, being from New York, and I think people are just angry because the weather is always not so great. We get the shortest summers and things like that. So it's cool to having that family environment, that family atmosphere, and being able to hang out with everybody. And um, man, there's so many of us sometimes that we're always in these training camps. So whenever we do get the time to kind of unwind and reset, we definitely try to take advantage of that. And so far, so good. I've come up in the game with Marab, Ally, Quinta. When I came to back down to the gym, moving back home to Long Island from college, Weidman was at the pinnacle of his career. When Weidman was starting, Matt Serra was, I believe he was like almost on his way out, but I think a couple of fights before that. So it's just cool to see all these things. And you got Gian Vellante. There's a lot of guys that have come through the gym, done great things from just this small community. Eddie Gordon, P. Dragosel, Luke Como. It's just the list goes on and on. So being from this, I just try to be as big of an inspiration to these guys and let them know, like, hey, man, I'm no different. And I do things very backwards from the way people tell me, like what the stuff I do is very unorthodox and very funky or weird or shouldn't work, but it works for me. And I try to let them know, well, if this could work for me and you're doing things fundamentally correct, then there should be no reason why you guys can't get to where we're at as well. And I think when they see that, us coming back, spending time with these guys, jumping in training sessions, these guys doing the same training sessions that we're doing, I think it kind of cultivates that aura of success and gives them the confidence that they need, that they too can follow on the same path and get here as well.
Absolutely, and like you mentioned, just really setting a good example in Long Island, and above all of that, having the Aljamain Sterling Day really puts it all into perspective. I should say, more importantly, having that day that symbolizes what a guy from Long Island can do and what he can build up. It speaks all the volume and all the rage to just the culture. And like you said, the Long Island weather may not be the best, but you traded it in for the Vegas weather, just the blazing heat for the cold for the heat. So I guess you can't. It's the best of both worlds in one way or another. But just looking at everything that's transpired, Aljamain, momentum is at an all-time high on your side right now. I feel like you're really hitting the stride of your career. If you haven't already hit your stride, which I think you have, and you continue to raise the bar for what it means to be a quality competitor and a quality bantamweight in this UFC division. Obviously there's the talk about Sugar Sean O'Malley, the conversation about fighting Sean, and August was a topic of contention, and there's obviously that drama, but I guess more importantly, looking into this matchup with Sean O'Malley, it's a very interesting matchup, but more importantly for you, I want to ask you about something else, actually. I know that's a matchup that will end up happening one way or another, but something that might hit close to home for you. Obviously the UFC hasn't been to Jamaica ever, and right now I feel like is the golden point to do it, with yourself and Leon Edwards as champions, Randy Brown, Ode Osborne, Hakeem Dawodu, the quality names that come out of Jamaica and represent Jamaican mixed martial arts and just have that blood in them, it's at an all-time high right now. What would it mean for you if you could get the UFC to somehow go to Jamaica for a fight card? What would it mean to you to fight in front of your people?
It'd be a special moment for sure, just to help the sport grow, take off down there, and I think it could be really good in terms of the overall expansion in Caribbean MMA. I mean, people tell me, they look at me and say, "Oh, you're like this freak specimen." I'm like, dude, trust me, if you guys think that I'm a specimen, you need to come down to Jamaica and you'll see a whole lot of me's running around and more. It's more so about getting them the opportunity to grow their skill set and giving them the opportunity to get better and cultivate that. And I think the sky's the limit, So to go down there and do something to be a historical moment in time, and hopefully a couple more wins, man, we won't be just talking about it. We'll actually be doing it.
No, yeah, absolutely. And, looking at right now, obviously you've got Sugar Sean O'Malley in front of you, and the date isn't more or less isn't important. I know it'll happen probably, like you said, August, it may happen, but you're tending to some injuries, just recovering a little bit. And like you said, I think it depends on what the champ wants, in my opinion, first and foremost. Just whatever I think is best for the champion, that's how they should go about it. That's just my opinion, though. And I think regardless, looking at that matchup, obviously we're going into the second half of 2023 with a win over Sugar Sean. Obviously, we can't prophesy with what happens much longer after that, but what would you kind of hope for after that? Would you be eyeing a move to 45, or what's your kind of mindset after this fight? Obviously, not looking past Sean, but kind of looking at what the future holds for you in the second half of 2023?
I mean, the second half, I think I go out there, I smash Sean, take a little break, get my body ready to go 145 and make that proper physical transition to compete with those guys. It's one thing to train, but it's another thing to be able to actually have a full-on fist fight with them. And I got to make sure I'm mentally prepared and physically prepared for that as well. So that's like the ideal landscape right now. And we'll see how this fight goes and go from there. So Sean is lucky. He's essentially potentially having the farewell fight for me at 135. So, and it's not because of him doing anything. It's more so, I think it's just time. And you got Marab, who's going to be down there left to terrorize the guys from Long Island. So he'll be the next one on deck to be doing all that.
No, yeah, absolutely. And we all look forward to that fight, obviously, with Sean O'Malley and the prospective future fight with Alexander Volkanovski or whoever the featherweight champion of the world is. And Aljo, thank you so much for your time, first and foremost. Just an honor to speak with you. I look forward to seeing, the ROM line hopefully coming to fruition very, very, very soon. I thank you so much for your time, and I just want to end on a saying that you said. You said winner or not. I think you said winner or no winner, champion or no champion, I'm not broken. And I feel like those words have really rung true for me, that despite the wins or losses in your life, they do not define you. And just as long as you do not let them tear you down, that you'll be a better person coming out of it. So I thank you so much for everything you've done thus far as a competitor, as a human being. I look forward to continuing to watch you fight in that octagon. And, just thank you so much for your time. It's been me, Dan, from FightWave, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this interview. Do be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, guys, and have a great day.